Sementara itu, praktisi industri sawit yang juga Vice President RSPO, Derom Bangun menilai, target pengurangan gas karbon perlu terlebih dahulu dilakukan pemetaan oleh pemerintah.
Sawit masih menjadi penopang penting perekonomian nasional, meski kini menghadapi tantangan serius, setidaknya dalam...
Good morning, afternoon, or even evening. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rashiqa Cintana Sulistyo, also known as Rashiqa or Shika. My student number is 290-272 and 1466. I am an international relations student from the Faculty of Humanities. In this video, I will present my assignment for the Contemporary Issue course. Happy watching! Now, why don't we imagine the world not as a group of separate countries, but as one political system? This system is called the global governance system. It operates on three main levels: 1. Shared beliefs, 2. Rule-making groups, and 3. Conflict over the rules. This system uses something called International Public Authority, or also known as IPA. IPA means that international organizations such as United Nations, global standard setters, and also EU regulators create rules that must be followed by countries, companies, and also individuals. These institutions do not use physical force or even armies. Instead, they use legitimacy, meaning people follow the rules because they believe the rules serve a good purpose. However, because global institutions sometimes favor powerful countries or even create overly technical rules, people and states often push back. This resistance is called contestation. This pushback happens in two main ways. If the resistance comes from people or groups, it is called politicization. Meanwhile, if the resistance comes from a country, well, that's called counter-institutionalization. Now, you might be wondering, what makes it interesting? Well, what makes it interesting is that this resistance is not a sign that the global system is failing. Instead, it's a normal part of how the system works and changes. The conflict over palm oil and climate change in West Kalimantan is a clear example of this system in action. First, we have global rules or IPA. International regulations such as European Union Deforestation Regulation and RSPO standards act as an international public authority. They define what counts as a sustainable and deforestation fee. Second, local impact. Did you know if farmers in West Kalimantan want to sell their palm oil on the global market, they must follow these international definitions? This means global rules can override the local government's authority to manage land use. The next one is pushback. Small farmers often find these technical global rules difficult to meet without large financial resources. They see the rules as unfair and sometimes describe them as regulatory imperialism. Last but not least, countries' resistance. Did you know that the Indonesian government resists the dominance of Western standards? It responds by filing complaints at the WTO and by threatening its own national standard, ISPO, to compete with global standards. In my essay, I use Michael Zern's theoretical framework of the global governance system to analyze the relationship between global rules and also local implementation in palm oil production. The global governance system is defined as a political system that cooperates above and across nation-states, structured by rules and also principles that carry authority. Unlike the traditional system where states were fully independent, the GGS includes layers of authority and hierarchy. It introduced normative principles that limit traditional state sovereignty, such as human rights, protection, and also global public goods like climate stability. IPA refers to power exercised by international or transitional organizations. Institutions such as the European Union and standard-setting bodies like the RSPO require compliance from states and non-state actors. They do not rely on military force, but on claims of legitimacy, arguing that their rules serve global public goods. In the palm oil sector, regulations like the EUDR functions as IPA by setting sustainability and deforestation standards that local farmers and companies in West Kalimantan must meet to access global markets. Contestation is the reaction or pushback that arises when global rules are seen as unfair or lacking legitimacy. Because global institutions are often perceived as biased towards powerful countries, disadvantaged actors such as small farmers or states challenging rules at the WTO tend to resist. This resistance is a dynamic and a normal part of the system, not a sign of failure. Indonesia's effort to strengthen SPO is an example of counter-institutionalization, where the state challenges the dominance of Western standards. Overall, it shows that this conflict is clearly visible at the local level, especially in West Kalimantan. While climate change mitigation is widely accepted as a global public good, the way global rules are applied locally creates political resistance and questions of legitimacy. In conclusion, the palm oil and climate change conflict in West Kalimantan is a clear real-world example of Michael Zern's global governance system in action. This case shows that resistance is not a failure of global governance, but is a normal part of how global authority, legitimacy, and consultation interact and shape the system over time.
Bang, apa bedanya kelapa sawit sama pohon biasa? Kan sama-sama pohon. Menarik nih. Kemarin itu viral video ini. Presiden kita bilang, gak usah takut membahayakan, deforestasi. Kelapa sawit ya pohon, ada daunnya kan? Jadi bagi presiden kita, kelapa sawit dan pohon biasa itu sama aja. Sama-sama bagus buat lingkungan. Ini berita dari Kumparan. Masalahnya, kelapa sawit dan pohon biasa itu beda. Netizen komen, beda pak, kelapa sawit akarnya serabut pak. Beda sama pohon-pohon yang ada di hutan yang berakar tunggang, yang bisa menahan terjadinya banjir, longsor, dan lain-lain. Sekarang terbukti kan? Lah maksudnya gimana? Kan sama-sama ada daunnya. Nah, ada kreator yang jelasin ini pakai gambar simple. Kita baca bareng-bareng. Pohon di hutan itu bentuknya kayak gini. Akarnya lebih kokoh dan menyebar luas. Jadi bisa nahan banyak air saat hujan terus-menerus. Lalu air bisa banyak dikeluarkan dalam bentuk uap. Makanya kalau di hutan tuh hawanya adem. Pohon juga akan nahan curah hujan. Jadinya nggak erosi dan longsor kayak di gambar ini nih. Nah, kalau kelapa sawit itu akarnya serabut kayak gini nih. Dia nggak sanggup nahan air hujan kayak pohon di hutan.
Ayang meninggal.
Apa buktinya? Buktinya bisa kita lihat di video ini nih. Jalan tol tenggelam. Padahal di pinggir jalan ini kelapa sawit semua. Karena kelapa sawit nggak bisa nyerap air kayak pohon biasa. Ini juga bisa kamu baca di artikel IDN Times yang ini. Siapa tahu kamu butuh referensi artikel dan berita yang ngomongin ilmu yang sama. Netizen komen, hutan diganti sawit tapi harga minyak goreng mahal. Rugi segala-galanya bagi rakyat. Kalau menurut kamu gimana? Saya mau denger pendapat kamu.
Coba bayangin, kalau semua hutan di bumi diganti jadi kebun sawit. Kelihatannya sih masih hijau. Pohonnya tinggi, rapi, bikin landscape-nya kelihatan oke aja. Tapi ya, itu cuma ilusi. Sawit itu monokultur. Satu jenis doang. Jadi semua kehidupan lain yang biasanya ada di hutan, hilang. Begitu hutan hilang, udara langsung berantakan. Oksigen turun, CO2 naik. Manusia mulai gampang capek, gampang sakit, dan bumi makin gerah kayak AC-nya mati total. Terus siklus air ikut rusak. Akar sawit gak kuat nahan hujan. Akhirnya banjir jadi rutinitas. Kemarau makin panjang. Orang kehilangan rumah, air bersih juga makin susah. Lalu hewan-hewan? Ya mereka gak punya tempat tinggal. Gajah, orang utan, burung, serangga. semuanya musnah pelan-pelan. Rantai makanan kacau, tanaman kehilangan penyerbuk, dan manusia akhirnya kehabisan sumber pangan. Kebayang nggak, bumi cuma isi kebun sawit? Kelihatannya hijau, tapi sebenarnya kosong. Karena sawit itu cuma tanaman industri. Hutan itu kehidupan. Kalau semua hutan hilang, yang hilang sebenarnya masa depan kita sendiri.
It's all gone, just palms as far as the eye can